This week on the 77% Street Debate.
As an influencer, you have the ability to influence decisions.
No, I think we're regular people that just happen to make content.
If we actually say we love the country, then you have to actually be ready to work hand in hand with the government to take the country to where it is.
But then the money has to come first.
Hello and welcome back to the 77% Street Debate. My name is Edith Kimani and this week we are back in Lagos, Nigeria. Now everything here in this country is done big. And this week we're going to talk about big influencers making big money. And the question is, do they have a big responsibility to society? Who better to answer this question for me than some people with some big numbers on social media? Let's start with Uzo Emeka. You're quite popular here on TikTok. I understand you have about 6.8 million followers. That's ridiculously big, right? So when you hear the premise of our question, do you have a responsibility to society based purely on your numbers? What's your initial answer?
Yeah, I feel I have a responsibility to the society.
Okay, so is it even fair to ask social media influencers to have a responsibility? Victory, I want to ask you this question because when you look at what's happening on the continent of Africa, there have been protests in every corner. Should it then be Uzo Emeka's job to stand there on TikTok and say, hey guys, this and this and this is what we need to do?
So as an influencer, you have the large followings. You have the ability to influence decisions, to influence people and to make them, move the right path. So it is your duty, your own civic responsibility as a citizen of a country to participate in social discourse as a democratic society that we're living in.
Okay, but what about then the job of politicians and journalists such as yourself and myself? Where then do we come in if we're leaving that task to everyday people?
So we are participating in our own way of driving conversations, taking the ideas of people, the mindset of people to the right people so that they can take actions. That is what we do as journalists. While as influencers, you are also like the mouthpiece of the people. I mean, you mentioned protests, right? When the popular NSAS protest took place, we had a popular figure there, DJ Switch. It was her civic responsibility to let people know that this is what is happening at the ground during the NSAS protest. And because she did that, it threw more light on what was happening. Okay. So it is more about civic responsibility.
Okay. Let me ask simply, please. Why are you at the protest? We're hearing about DJ Switch, and if you were not at the protest, did you feel like perhaps I should have done my duty and done that?
Yes, I felt it.
Mm-hmm. So do you think then that social media influencers have this responsibility, or is it something that is being placed on you without even your consent?
As a citizen of a country, it is your duty to participate in anything that is happening in the country. And also, since you have the platform, you have the number of followers, you can also create an awareness with your platform to the people to know what's happening.
So let me ask Sam here, because you actually run an agency that manages these kinds of social media influencers. So for you, it's very much a business. So at what point does it become a philosophical question of doing good in society?
So first of all, we're having this conversation because these influencers have a large following, correct? The main reason why we're sticking with those that have a large following is because we want to take advantage of their following, which they built themselves. So I think it's not their responsibility. They're here to make money. They are, striving every day. You need to see how these creators create content. You almost cry because they sweat on the sun, on the rain. So now this guy has 6 million plus followers. Now you want him to go about doing social responsibility. It is not their duty.
I heard somebody at the back here say it's not our prerogative. Who was that?
Yeah. That was me. I mean, honestly, I'm not saying don't lend your voice to social causes and stuff. I'm just saying do your research. I think a lot of creators lend their voices or take up social responsibility because it will give them numbers or because it is a trend at the time. And that's what a lot of creators do, jump on trends. Lend your voice, but be informed. Know why what's happening is happening and prefer solutions. It's not about jumping on trends or making those numbers.
Let me come back to Emeka here. Are you just jumping on trends so that you can get more followers?
Basically not. So it's something that you need to actually understand what you are doing. There's a level of amount of research to be done by you because it could be a really risky something. You could actually piss off really powerful people when you're just trying to talk to the society and all. So it's something that you need to actually be careful about. And if it's not something you are ready to go into, you should just stick to your business, since it's what you started with.
Okay, but if you stick to your business and you don't talk about an issue that's big, then your followers will come to you and say, hey, we haven't heard you talk about this. So where do you fall then?
What if I'm not prepared to talk about that? What if it's risky, something that's going to, like, I'm not prepared. It's not my line. It's not something I know how to do.
Yeah.
So I couldn't just jump into it.
All right. Let me ask Doctor here, because you're influencing and we're talking about risks. That's very risky because you might give advice online, somebody takes it, and then they become unwell. Are you then to be held responsible for your advice?
When we talk about being an influencer is more or less, you're more or less a leader. You have to ensure that any information that you're putting out there has been thoroughly researched, backed by science. And when you're saying it, it has to be something that you can actually verify.
Okay, you're saying influencers are leaders. Is that always true? All influencers are leaders?
Yes, I strongly agree, because you can't have 6 million followers and you're not leading them anywhere. Being an influencer is a very powerful place to be.
Sorry, let me just come here because I've heard a no. You don't think that all influencers are leaders?
No, I think we're regular people that just happen to make content. Not a leader, I'm just a regular person that tweets. I don't think it's my responsibility to do any of these things. I'm just entertaining people.
But then we always say this adage, with great power comes great responsibility. You're moving numbers. People are swayed by your thoughts. So when people get swayed to a side by your thoughts and what you are thinking, you are leading people. What you're saying now is that I can't be accountable for swaying your opinion. You should.
Okay. Let me hear from some people here.
Because I'm an influencer doesn't mean I have sense.
Yes.
Honestly. First of all, I'm a skit maker, I'm a comedian. I don't really have sense. I don't have wisdom. And you don't go to the bank and ask the banker, put a placard and tell people about this. Because a lot of people come to the bank. I am just an influencer that has followers. I really am not a government person. So I don't think it's fair for us to put such responsibility on people who are just trying to make money. The first thing for people who go into influencing are money. So I don't think that the first thing that comes to my mind when I'm going into influencing is to lead people. Me, we no sabi lead myself.
Okay. All right, let me speak to Tasha here. Thank you for joining us. She's a bit late, but you made it. So we're talking about choices, and you've made a choice that with your huge following, you're going to go into philanthropy. Did you feel like this was sort of twisted out of you, or was it a natural progression and outcome?
All right, it definitely was a natural progression because, I get the fact that, okay, we're influencers, we're here to make money, but I feel like we can always strike a balance. You can make money while directly impacting the lives of the people that follows you, because at the end of the day, you definitely can cause a change. You don't have to make your whole following about helping people and philanthropy and all of that, but you can strike a balance between putting out whatever you need to put on social media while directly affecting the lives of your followers positively.
Okay, I want to speak to Mr. Kideji here because he's from the NOA, that's how people know you here. And I just want to talk about the collaborative potential that exists between people of influence and people who are running government institutions. What opportunities are there?
Now, we are mandated by law to carry out, to sensitize almost everyone that is here on their civics rights. Like, you have to pay your taxes, your right to participate in the democratic process, And I remember in 2014, we organized a bloggers workshop. We gave them training. And as a result, they knew what they were supposed to do.
Okay. So earlier we were speaking, Doctor, I nearly called you Daktari, which is how we call doctor in Swahili, about working collaboratively with government agencies. And you were saying something about cholera. Tell me about that.
Okay, so one of the things that we noticed was during the last cholera outbreak that happened in Lagos and in other parts of the country, the spread wasn't as, magnified as we would have expected it to be normally. But one of the reasons why we achieved that level of success was because people were aware. And this awareness was done by a lot of, prominent health influencers who are based off here in Nigeria that provided the right information as to what you need to do.
Okay, let me ask simply, please, here. If the government calls and says, hey, we have a campaign against cholera, we need you to do a skit for us on your TikTok, are you doing it for free?
First of all,
First of all, she says.
It won't be for free.
Okay.
Second of all, I know nothing about politics. You
Well,
get
cholera in this case.
I know nothing about that.
Yeah. But if it was an agenda or a value or something that you believe in, would you do it?
Well, if it will bring positive impact, yes, I would.
Okay.
But then the money has to come first.
Okay, let me hear from some people here. Are you taking the job for free? Are you doing it for free because it's for the good of society? Or are you charging?
Right. Absolutely. So if it's something for the greater good, obviously I'll do it for free, because at the end of the day, if we actually say we love the country, then you have to actually be ready to work hand in hand with the government to take the country to where it is. Because at the end of the day, change starts with you and not with the next person.
Okay. Let me hear from you. You had something to add.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, please. So now, if the NOA was actually to meet simply Tasha, right? Are you saying if we want to push our message out there and we meet your brand, we meet your person, are you saying you're going to do it for us for free? Now, come in.
Let me give an answer to that, right? So I'm not mixing words when I say I'll do it for free, because I've done so many things for my society and the country for free. Nigeria is so personal to me, because I grew up looking up to my parents telling me the country is going to be better, and I had that stuck in my head. I had no options of, you know what, when I'm grown, I'll leave the country. I believe Nigeria is going to be better. But then growing up and seeing how the country is like, we all cannot make a decision from outside of the table. You have to get involved in the table. And if it means making a video to tell everybody, you know what, be here to get your effing PVC, like, let's make this happen, like, why the F not?
Okay. But how much are you gonna take free services? Because at the end of the day, this is their livelihood, right? So don't you have a budget at NOA?
No. Okay. Now, every government, parastatal ministry, department, and agencies, they run on the budgets. But like there is always priority, and we know about what is happening presently in the country, But what I even wanted to ask, what I wanted to say is, for social media influencers, it's always about big business for them. And for agencies that are not really that funded, to partner with them becomes a big issue, right?
Yeah.
And except we probably just meet some that are actually going to give that leverage for us to partner with them, are probably a limited cost,
okay.
but the partnership is always there.
I like how you're saying limited cost. Let me ask Simply Peace another question, because earlier you had said that, look, money is important, but do you think that people will lose trust in you when we know that for every single thing that you post, somebody has paid you for it?
I don't think they will lose trust in me. Those who are with me, and those who are not with me.
So how do we know? How do we know the difference between when you're really saying something for real or when you're saying it because there's a beautiful paycheck at the end of that?
Well, you just have to know.
Okay. So trust you and follow you. Don't trust me, don't follow me. Simple as. Okay, let's hear some more views from the back. Yeah.
Okay, so Lord, about the low budget. Now that part just catch my attention. Nigerians gonna understand this speeding at the end of the day. You will not blame anybody for wanting to ask for money. Most people got into influencing because of the economy that we're in. Yep. Do you understand? Like you going to school. I went to school. I finished university. I tried to get a job. I couldn't get a job. So I went into freelancing makeup artistry, right? So after makeup, I went into Big Brother World. I'm an influencer right now. So you wouldn't blame me for charging for money. If you don't charge for money, where are you going to make the money from? We're in this country where we have to help ourselves. We create opportunities for ourselves. And the government does little or not much, even though we're hoping that they get as much involved as we are. Because at the end of the day, you are governing us. Like, we need to be okay with what you're doing. So I see nothing wrong with people wanting to ask for money. And being an influencer, the lifestyle costs, now you don't know. Do you understand what I mean? Do you get, yeah.
Okay, tell me a little bit about what it's like to be an influencer here. What's that lifestyle that you're talking? It's expensive.
You look at the dress.
Oh my God, the makeup, the hair. And the thing with being an influencer is you have no excuses. Your followers do not want to know why you're not meeting up. Do you understand? They have a certain expectation of you, and it only makes sense when you hit it, right? And you cannot be an influencer influencing lifestyle and you don't look the part. You can't be coming here with a Camry. Do you understand what I mean?
What's the car?
So if we're charging, we have absolutely every right, because the lifestyle costs. We're not going to be influencers if we're not influencing your lifestyle, influencing what you do, and all of that kind of stuff.
Let me ask Emeka, is that the experience for you as well as an influencer? Do you have to spend cash to get cash?
I think it's kind of expensive. I'm not actually talking about what I'm wearing now, but like creating content these days is quite expensive because I spend a whole lot when I'm trying to create a masterpiece.
Give me an idea of what that costs.
Creating that content is going to cost me because I'm going to like get the cameraman that's actually going to film that because it's official. The location, the editor, what I'm going to be wearing, even the concept itself might still cost. It's really not something that I want to do for free because I know it's going to cost me at the end of the day.
Okay.
As someone who's an influencer who focuses on social causes, I do not blame any other influencer who chooses not to. One, you don't make as much money. Two, you won't have as many followers. People don't really care as much about social cause as you think they do. You might think they do, but they really do not care. And then we have the agencies and the brands who want you to do it for less. Because people got bills to pay, right? So it is what it is. So if we're doing big business versus social responsibility, most people are going to choose big business. It is what it is. Let me just say that one fact. And when it comes to the NOA, I am someone who has done enough work for this government.
Did you charge them?
Yes, and I'll tell you how, for the people here that want to be involved, the thing is many people might want to do socially conscious thing, but they don't know how to go about it. Typically, there's an honorarium. Let's not say you're not charging. There's money on the table.
Okay. All right, Victory, let's hear from you.
So listening to everyone speak, it's very tempting for us to now be on the side of big business. And I mean, I heard what Anta said about having a show and what he said about creating content. It's very expensive. I have a personal show that's focused on therapeutic solutions, so I know it's expensive. But would I say because it's expensive, I will not focus on giving people solutions? Will I say because people are not really interested, I'm only interested in making money, I will not do the right thing? Do I really love Nigeria enough? Everyone, I know that we're saying that survival is very important, but you cannot toss aside the fact that Nigeria is your country. So you have that platform to drive information, research if you need to, participate if you need to, because it's a must for you, whether you like it or not.
Okay, so at the end of everything, the government can't come and say that I want you to do something, and then there is no form of remuneration. Yes, definitely, it might not be what you usually take. Concessions can definitely be made. But then, I believe it is also the purview, it should be within the purview of the government to ensure that you support creators. Because at the end of it all, they are creating jobs for people. You say you want to tackle unemployment. We are helping people tackle unemployment, and then you don't want to pay them. Okay. So at the end of it all, the most important thing is that it has to be balanced.
Okay. It needs to be balanced. Because he introduced a very beautiful point, I want to ask, do you think that the government is supporting you infrastructurally, tax? Oh, okay, let's...
So they are not, to be honest, because if you let them, what they will do is regulate what we currently have. Because let's take a look at the number of promotions that you get. As an influencer, you don't just accept any promotion that comes to you because there are some that will damage your reputation and your brand, all right? So I have influencers tell me, Mr. Sam, I have this job from this political party. Should I do it? I'll tell them no. I don't care the amount of money they're paying you. This would definitely make it look like, oh, you're picking a side. Because if this particular party did not actually enter, you are in soup. And if you post this kind of content consistently, your followers reduce, your engagement reduces. They'll be like, oh, this one is part of them. You would notice your engagement is going down. So I feel like as a content creator, as an influencer, be very careful what you accept, even if it's social whatever. Like the doctor mentioned, we were working on a cholera campaign. They went to meet a medical influencer. Go meet them. Don't come to entertainment influencers and tell them they should talk about this stuff. They don't know anything about it. Go meet people that understand this and let them talk about it. For us influencers, we just want to make you laugh.
And I have to ask a question. Do brands also have a problem when you stop being apolitical, when you start talking about floods, when you start talking about the state of politics? Is it harder for you to get jobs? Yeah?
Just like I think he said something about wanting to support a certain political party. There's some brands that align with certain political parties that when you start putting out certain content, they do not want to relate to you. They say, oh, this person is fighting the government. But at the end of the day, I'm fighting for my life and I'm fighting for the lives of everybody I do care about. I've lost jobs from speaking up or like being a voice to the voiceless and stuff. And then lastly, to his point, I strongly disagree. I loved everything he said. But the last point when he said, for the collateral, go ahead and pay the health influencers, don't come to us. There are people that are not so serious with their life. They don't follow health influencers. They follow you that put out the funny comedy skits. So at the end of the day, like, information can be pushed through anybody. It could be through comedy, it could be through a serious video and all of that kind of stuff. Like, it does have no boundary.
Okay. So as we wrap up, I want to know, because Victory suggested that there has to be some kind of balance where you have your influence, but you're still responsible citizens, yeah? So where is the balance? Any ideas of how we can strike that balance? Sam, let me hear from you.
So the balance is very clear. As a content creator, as an influencer, make sure you actually build your following to somewhere you're actually comfortable that, okay, if I start now, even if I lose maybe like a percentage, I won't really shake. Then you can go for it. So you have to work on your brand first, make sure you're solid, make sure you can hit your shirt and say, I'm very solid. And now you can take on social responsibility.
Okay. Yeah. All right, give me a second.
Yeah. Okay, so I would suggest to strike a balance. You can be neutral and just focus on passing the information out. Not that you're supporting one side and against another side. Because your duty is to educate those that are following you. See, whether you like it or not, people are looking at you. Sacha here, people will say, I want to be like Sacha when I grow up. I love her hips. I want to have that kind of... They are influenced by what you do, the most minute thing you do. So it is your responsibility to inform them. So to strike the balance, you don't have to take sides.
Okay, so the way I will put it is focus on the problem, not the individual. I think that is what gives the first kickback. People don't want to listen. You know, you are basically like throwing direct punches at someone, right? So, but throw issues, like focus on the issue, be issue-based and make it yours. You know, personalize it and then start solving. So that way you can strike that balance, as you would want it.
Hey, she's about to explode here because she does not agree with what you're saying.
Absolutely not. Okay. I think first, her point, mentioning social, civic responsibility and all that. Yeah, but where does that stop and government responsibility begin? If we are taking over their roles, they should pay us like the government.
As a citizen, you're not doing it as an influencer. It's every citizen's civic responsibility to be involved in what happens in their nation. I'm not saying that you must, like people that are aware, it's important that's why you did government in your secondary school. Because the teachers know that it is important that you know about the government of your country. So it's not an influencer responsibility, it's a civic responsibility.
All right. First of all, I failed government in school. Let's start that. So, and then, but outside of that, you're saying, okay, as a regular person, but it's not regular people you invited here. Yeah. It's influencers, right? You cannot expect us to continue doing the government's job. It is unfair. And I feel like it is so tragic that we have a government representative here literally saying that we were the ones that were supposed to basically pass information on things like cholera.
Well, I think he said it's a collaborative effort.
Yeah. Why should it be a collaborative effort? We have so many ministries. We have ministries in governments that are dedicated to these things. Right. What are they doing?
All right. So, okay, that's fine because I don't want to get lost in this mini debate here. Remember, we were trying to find a solution as to whether there can be a balance, right? Okay, let's go back to that.
Well, I think there can be a balance, but first of all, influencers need to educate themselves. Influencers need to research, get informed before they can inform the people that are following them.
Okay. There's some two people at the back here who want to say stuff?
Yeah, I think there's a very huge difference between civil obligation and moral obligation. So the fact that I blew up on social media does not mean I am obligated to speak out on problems. You can say, oh, as a good person. But to now say, oh, because of one day I did a video in my house and I blew up on social media, I am obligated to speak on now. But if you say as a good person, you are morally
understandable.
As a Nigerian.
So,
All right.
yeah.
So I want to ask Victory a question. What do you expect influencers to say? Do you want them to air their opinion, or you want them to say what the people are saying? Because my opinion might be different from what the masses are saying. So when I say that opinion and you attack me, I'm still performing my civic duty. So do you think that my opinion counts?
So I said something. So I want you to be able to pass information, you know, when it comes to something that is affecting the lives of people. You know, just...
Okay, let me hear one final thought and then we'll close this conversation.
Oh, sorry. I think we have to educate the influencers. We need to understand that in democracy, people have the right to express their minds. And we should also understand that in whatever we do, we should stand with Nigeria. If you post that on your status, it says a lot to the people. It affects a lot of lives. Then it means that if you stand for Nigeria, it means that you do not want Nigeria to be in disarray. So you will do everything from your end to make Nigeria better. And that's all we are asking for.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for your views. Thank you so much to all the influencers here today. We, as usual, start with what appears to be a rather simple question. Generation influencer, big business or social responsibility? Based on the answers here, I think we still need to keep talking about it. The jury is still out on that one. But from me, thank you for watching.